the Cars Podcast. Panorama's #1 source for news, reviews, and thoughts about the new wave rock legends, the Cars. Oh, and a little bit of Steel Wool, Sunshine, and Rainbows.
You're listening to Night Thoughts, the Cars Podcast, the #1 longest running podcast about the cars. Episode 27. I'm one of your hosts, Pocket Dave. And with me, as always, is my partner in crime, Donna. How's it going, Donna?
Good. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing just fine. End of the week.
Yep.
Doing good.
Yep.
So let's get straight to the business. Let's get to it, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
All right.
I'm a little giddy.
Hey, you're listening already, people. See that little red button down there that says subscribe? Subscribe. Press it. Subscribe to us. I actually looked, Donna, to see
Yes.
how many subscribers we had. We had like 68.
In fact, 69.
At 69 now.
Yeah, yes.
Whoa. Whoa. That
Leaps.
is only 31 away from 100.
Leaps and bounds, people. We're growing by leaps
Leaps
and bounds.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a slow build.
It is. I bet the Rock Hall's wishing now that they would have given us press credentials.
Oh, I'm sure.
You see those
I'm
numbers?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Uphill all the way.
All right. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/Night Thoughts Podcast. Come on over. And I think we have about almost 400 people on that.
Yep. Yes, we do.
And not that you will, but you can send us an email at nightthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. Although we do have Midnight Scroll tonight, so that's a good sign. We
Yes.
have 2 emails.
Yay.
And merch. You get the merch, tpublic.com/user/nightthoughts. Which, by the way, I put, my pawpaw, my debut logo pawpaw.
Yes,
thing
yes.
before. I wanted to get a T Public shirt of that, and so I had to put pawpaw up for like a couple days. I'm just wondering if someone might have gone there and went, "What the hell is that for?" But you gotta have it up there to buy it. So
I did see it, yeah, actually, because
Yeah.
I went there to order a shirt, and I saw it on there.
yeah, it's really cool to get the distressed look on
Yes.
stuff. I really love that look.
Yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
the one that you just got looks very distressed. Looks like
Yeah.
you've had it for the last 40 years.
I nailed that old school look.
Yes, you did.
And also, I also want to give out a big plug again for Chris Morris, our buddy Chris Morris from chrismorrisillustration.com/shop. All of you who have been getting his T-shirts, posters, mugs, the whole bit.
Beach towels.
Beach towels, yep. And I want to thank him for what he sent me. It's awesome. I'll tell you this: the poster that has all of the inductees from all time. That thing is epic. Holy
Yes.
crap! It's amazing.
It
I mean,
is.
It's one thing to see a picture of it, but to see it, wow.
Yes.
And I also got a poster because you put those up. The cars in color. That just looks fantastic.
So
Printed.
great. Yes.
Yeah. So I'll be framing those up, putting them
Nice.
in my podcasting den.
Ooh, very nice. Next to your Rick Fly.
Next year, Rick Fly. You got it.
That's right.
Sure enough.
It's a place of honor.
Well, episode 27, we're talking about Cleveland. Cleveland rocks.
Yes.
And as our listeners probably know, one of us went to Cleveland. One of us did not. Well, no, wait. I was there.
I was
Just in
gonna say.
cardboard form or picture form.
Yes.
Very funny. So this episode's going to be all about Donna and her experiences in Cleveland.
All right.
So Donna, it's kind of and I'll have questions as I go along.
Please do.
So, just starting off with just getting there. When did you leave? What was the TSA like with the Benjamin Orr poster incident? Tell us all about that.
Oh, well. Well, first, I have to tell you, and everyone who's listening, that as you know, it's been very overwhelming since I've been back, and I know I kept telling you, I have so much to tell you, I have so much to tell you. But of course, as soon as I put the headphones on, it's like, I just almost, not really quite at a blank, but just feel like it's so overwhelming. There's just so much. So I might kind of stumble along. So please ask me questions as we go, and I'm sure that I'll remember and hopefully be able to tell all my stories in order, but I might not. Because it was an amazing experience. It was definitely, I still feel like I'm recovering. It's been a week, and I still feel like I haven't quite got my feet back on the ground. But so I left Thursday. I left early in the afternoon here. And of course, with the time change and stuff, I didn't end up getting in to Cleveland until about 11:30 at night. So it was a long
11:30 Cleveland time. Right?
Cleveland time, yes, p.m. And I left my house probably 10:30 in the morning, close to 11. So it was a long day, but of course, just so exciting. And I just have to tell you right off the bat, I never found the Benjamin poster in the Cleveland airport. As much as I looked, I could not find it.
It's not what the TSA said.
Oh, stop with that. Unless you have photographic evidence of... Oh, wait, I better not say that, because I'm sure you'll doctor something up.
I can make it all up. Yeah.
So I got... Go ahead.
Have you flown a lot?
Oh, not for years. No.
Yeah.
In fact, probably since before kids. And that's one thing I was like, I have to take my shoes off.
Yeah.
Like, you have... It was crazy.
Craziness.
Yeah.
But here's the big difference, though, when it comes to pre-9/11 and post-9/11.
Yeah.
Pre-9/11, a lot of freaky people in the airports.
Yes.
But now, with the TSA and everything, those people aren't in there anymore.
That's true.
So everybody's normal, which is kind of nice.
As normal as they can be.
As normal as they can be. Yeah, you still see some characters, but, they got a ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just not, hanging around.
Yes. Yeah, so that was really definitely different to have to go through all that security and stuff. That was weird. And you know what actually was the most insulting was that I had a water bottle that I wanted to take in with me, which they made me throw away going through the security thing. And then as soon as you get through the security thing, there's all the restaurants and stuff. $3.50 for a bottle of water.
Yeah.
So you couldn't hand that to me across the belt after I got around and got my shoes back on?
No.
Jeez Louise.
No.
What a rip.
Yeah, I've done that with many sodas. I always carry a backpack, and there's like a pocket for a bottle or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir, you can't bring that in. Oh, man, okay, fine.
That's what a rip.
Just get rid of it.
What a rip. And I did get my bag wanded because I had little bags of chocolate in my in my carry-on. They literally took it out and inspected the bag of like Hershey's special candy bars.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's my snacks. So anyway.
Yeah.
So got my rental car, made my way to the hotel, which was really great. I was about 15 minutes outside of 10 to 15 minutes away from the Rock Hall, probably. And I think I probably got to bed like at 3-ish Cleveland time. And Friday was I was so happy to be there. Just so happy to be there.
What time did you get up?
Friday morning.
Yeah. After going to bed at 3 in the morning.
I went to bed at 3. I got up about 7:30 because I was going to say, so Friday I hit the ground running so of course I was going to Cleveland to see the cars be inducted, number 1, and honoring Benjamin, number 1. But I also went there to help Joe Milliken promote his book. So I've been working with Joe with the writing aspect of it in a sense. I mean, I have been helping him with promotional materials and things like that. And so I went as his public relations assistant. And so I had helped organize some interviews and things that he was doing. So Friday morning, he needed to be down at the Rock Hall. He was going to be interviewed live. So we needed to be down there at 9:20 to be on this morning news TV program. So I was up from the first thing in the morning.
So wait. So was it like one of these scenes where like you're up at his hotel door going, Mr. Milliken, Mr. Milliken, are you awake? Mr. Milliken?
No, it wasn't quite that bad.
Okay.
It wasn't quite that bad. It was, I'll meet you down there. And I did, he's got his own stories to tell, but I did end up getting down there before he did. And so I met the producer of the show, and I did say, Mr. Milliken is on his way. Yeah, I didn't say Mr. Milliken. I just said Joe Milliken's on his way, and he'll be here shortly. And so I met, right off the bat, I met Neil and Diane Akins. And Diane was, she met Benjamin when she was 13 and he was 17. I don't know if you remember reading an interview by her in Rolling Stone, but she was friends with him from like her childhood. He was 17, but their families were close. Their parents were really close. They had holidays, and she grew up with him basically. And at different times he would fly her she went and saw him in arenas and all sorts of stuff, and her parents, and wherever he went and traveled, he sent home stuff to the family, and remembered like her parents' anniversary and all sorts of stuff. He just really amazing. So anyway, she has a lot of memorabilia and photographs and all of the stuff from having grown up with Benjamin, basically. So her and Neil, her husband, were there at the Rock Hall when we got there. So I got to meet her right away, which was really cool, and say hey. And then Joe got there. We got him situated. And so I'm trying to take this in from both, I'm trying to stay focused on what I was committed to doing, but also as a fan, I'm just looking around the Rock Hall going, oh my gosh, I'm in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum. It's so cool. And at 9 in the morning.
That was your first time at the Rock Hall.
Yes, right? Yes. And it was kind of busy because there was so there's this big media event going on. And so once Joe gets situated and he's got his interview going, I look around, and on the left side of the hall, when you walk in, there's all these tables set up with different radio stations, and their DJs are sitting there, and they're all broadcasting live.
That's where we were supposed to be. That was our gig, Donna.
Right, I know. So I went over there and said, excuse me, where's my chair? No, I didn't. But I did go over there and thought, I'm just going to start see if I can get interviews lined up for Joe. So I just kind of went down the row and introduced myself to the different radio DJs. We had business cards made up for the book, promoting the book. So I would hand him a card and say, I'm Donna Neal, I'm representing Joe Milliken. He's the author of blah, blah, blah. And so I lined up these interviews for him. And one of them was on the main, was this main stage setup, and it was Eddie Trunk and Sirius XM with
cool.
Lori Majewski and Nick Carter. They were broadcasting live from the Rock Hall. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's Eddie Trunk. But play it cool, be cool, D. So I went over and just sort of observed, okay, who's actually running the show here? It's not Eddie Trunk. It's that guy over there with the clipboard and the glasses. He's the one calling the shots. So I went over and introduced myself to him, told him, what we had going on and stuff. And I ended up getting an interview for Joe on Eddie Trunk, which was very exciting. And so that was pretty cool. So I headed back to where Joe was. His thing was done. I got that special Cars cookie. Did you see my picture of the Cars cookie?
Yeah.
That was very cool.
Were those cookies or Rice Krispie treats?
They were cookies. They were sugar cookies.
So they were like big square sugar cookies?
Yeah. They were so cool.
And they obviously just like printed off like the album cover and put it on top and then wrapped it up in cellophane? They printed
it on frosting. You can...
Oh!
Yeah.
That's even more cool.
It was totally cool. And so so that was good. So the morning was spent, I will try to not tell you every single detail, but the morning was spent just kind of, introducing Joe then to the people that I had met and setting up interview slot times and that kind of stuff. Kurt Gaber and his wife Natalie were there, and so we got to meet them in person, which was so great. because you know how it is. When you've been talking with someone for a couple of years, and then you get to meet them in person. It's just really neat. And so they came over there, and there was tables set up there, so we were kind of yakking and stuff. And let's see, other notables that happened that morning. The keyboard player from Bon Jovi got interviewed at one of the radio stations, so he had his big escort, and his sunglasses inside and all of that stuff, and had his interviews with the radio dude and then with Eddie Trunk. And then Mark Goodman was there, and he got interviewed too. And I tell you, it took all my willpower, all of my willpower. In hindsight, I really wish I would have asked him, did Benjamin Orr tell you not to call him Ben? Or what was that all about? But when we talked to him, he acted like, because I said, this is Joe Milliken, he wrote the book, da-da-da. Oh, yeah, and I said, you interviewed Benjamin a couple of times. He's like, oh, yeah, I interviewed a lot of people. It was just like, okay. I mean, like, he acted like it was,
So he kept going back to Led Zeppelin.
I know. What about that
what
Led
did?
Zeppelin reunion? Could you believe that? Yeah, he was just but he was nice, and Joe ended up chatting with him about Benjamin being a nice guy and that kind of stuff. So so that was kind of cool. So basically, we spent 4 hours that morning in the Rock Hall doing nothing but media related stuff. We met Alan Fields. He was there. I'm trying to think of who else of the fans we saw there, the Fanorama type people. But those were the main ones I remember. And so by the time that got done, then it was like, okay, so should we try to tour the place? We had tickets to go see the tribute band Moving in Stereo Friday night at the Hard Rock Roxino, and so it seems like there was something else going on, because we were just drained. Like, after those few hours of doing that, we did look around the Rock Hall a little bit, but then I was like, okay, well, I need to get back to the hotel and try to freshen up and get ready to go. Gosh, it seems like there was something else that happened before we headed out. I was going to go to a sound check with them, but then I decided not to do that because I was just wiped out. And I remember saying later, I couldn't imagine if this was your life. Like, if you were actually, like, you think about the members of the Cars, their weekend was probably one thing after another. This interview, that event, show up here, show up there, do this, do that. It's exhausting. And I only did it for, a few hours. And I just...
And you run.
And I'm in shape. I'm not a couch potato. But it took a lot out of me. So the next big thing we did went down to the Club Velvet, the Hard Rock Roxino, and watched the Moving in Stereo. And I'll tell you, those guys killed it. They were amazing. Like, I think that was the closest thing to seeing a vintage Cars concert live that I could see. They were so good.
Is it one of those type of situations where if you closed your eyes, you could really think that you were listening to the real thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could have totally exactly. I could have superimposed those guys in my imagination and believed I was there. They were really good.
Wow.
Yeah, they were really good. And they had, the cool thing is they're so true to the sound, so true to the music, but they had their own, stage banter, and they had a few little things that where they kind of made it their own, but they were very faithful to playing the Cars music, and it was really great. It was really great. You had people dancing. It was, a club where there's tables and seats and stuff everywhere. But people would get up and just go off to the side, to the little aisles on the side, and they were dancing, and everybody was just having a great time. It was really fun. And there was a ton of people from the Fanorama there, which was so great. I got to meet, am I allowed, should I be saying last names? I guess, does it?
Probably not.
All right. sorry to those guys I already
Too
mentioned.
bad, Alan.
Yeah.
And Kurt.
Well, Kurt, come on. Kurt's a friend of the show.
Yeah, Kurt's been on the show.
Yeah. Well, I met Katrina, and I met Kathy, and I met Cheryl and Mary and Vinell, and so many great. It was so great. There was a whole bus of them that came down to the show, and of course, just livened everything up. We were all squealing, and Kurt and Nat were down there, and it was really fun. So after the music was done and the band, I got to meet Billy there and Amber, although I didn't get to talk to them for very long at all, but they were there. And so then afterwards, when the guys were tearing down, we were going to stick around. I was going to stick around and talk to them some more. And so the rest of the Fanorama hung around too. And so we just chatted and laughed and took pictures, and it was really fun. It was so fun. And so then the guys came out, and we ended up sitting in the bar and talking with them for a while. And Matt gave me this box of vinyl with also this old newspaper with the cars in it. I'll have to post pictures of it. But one of the records that he gave me, and he just said he had just kind of been collecting things here and there as he came across them for me. But one of them was the Cleveland Cares album.
Cool.
Yes, and so so cool, so very sweet, and we just had a great time talking with them and getting to know them better, and just meeting them in person again. Having written about them last year and conducting all of that through social media, now to get to shake hands and say hey, and it was just really fun. So then that was a really late night. I think I got back to the hotel again probably like 2. Go to bed at 3, and then the next morning Joe had an interview with the Toledo Blade at their hotel, so it was up again early and shower and get ready to go.
Mr. Milligan. Mr. Milligan.
Again, not quite that bad. But that was really cool. We headed down to the...
Oh, wait, you were Joe's Pepper Potts.
I was Pepper Potts.
You were Pepper Potts.
I don't mind that. I like that.
Yeah.
So we headed down there, and it was Brian and Jeff from the Toledo Blade. They're really nice guys. And we, I totally forgot this other story. Let me go back for a minute to Friday. When Joe and I finally got done with all the media stuff, and we thought, well, let's walk around a little bit. So we were then going to actually get into the Rock Hall and get our wristbands. Well, the gal that we went up to, there was several cashiers sitting there. We went up to this gal. She had a car shirt on, but actually she noticed my panorama earrings, because I had my panorama earrings on. I had my panorama shoes. And she said, are you a fan of the Cars? And I said, absolutely. And she said, oh, so am I. It's this, and she showed us her shirt, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so I said, this is Joe Milliken. He wrote this, biography of Benjamin Orr. She just got so giddy. And so we kind of started yakking back and forth. And anyway, I ended up telling her about the blog and the podcast. Another day when I went in there, I was wearing my podcast t-shirt, and she was like, I have to have one of those. And I was like, they're for sale. You can buy them. Come join our group. And so I'm actually friends with her, and one of her friends, when I got back, we friended each other, and I think I added her to the Night Thoughts group. But anyway, so that was really fun. And so I'm a member, so I could get in, but she let Joe in for free too. I hope she doesn't get in trouble by hearing this. But so she's just like, oh, you guys can just get in. She let us get in, and so that was really cool. And she plays an important part of my story later. So Robin was really awesome. And okay, so Saturday we go down to Toledo Blade, or to meet the guys at Toledo Blade. Joe's been interviewed, and they're videoing part of it. And we're in the lobby of a hotel, so kind of off to the side, there's a couple of guys talking. And so I went over to them and I said, I don't mean to be rude, but they're actually doing some videotaping over there. Would you guys mind keeping your voices down a little bit? Well, it was Nick Carter from SiriusXM and Roger, the program director, and another person. But the program director said, he's like, you look familiar. And I was like, I know, were you at the Rock Hall yesterday? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, SiriusXM. And so I chatted with him then for another few minutes, and he said, I've got your card. We want to have Joe on again, toward the fall. And so it was just cool to strengthen that connection again, And of course they were teasing me. Yeah, they were teasing me. Oh, you don't want to be rude, huh? And I was like, well, I don't want to be, but will be if I need to be, you know. And we kind of laughed. And of course, Roger, he's like, oh, you're just doing your job. I totally get it. I have to do it all day long. And so that was really fun. So just secured that connection, was really cool. And then when Joe was done being interviewed, Jeff from the Toledo Blade was telling me that they just started a podcast. And so they've done one episode, and then now that they've been back, they just recorded a second one. But I said, oh, I also podcast. And so I told him all about the Night Thoughts podcast, and he was picking my brain for ideas, and I was telling him about the graphics that you do, and just how sometimes we do serious stuff and sometimes we do funny stuff, and as far as episodes go. And so he's like, oh, can I get your email? Oh, can I get what's the name of the podcast? And so that was really fun, talking about that, and, you know, feeling like I just had something to contribute to that. And with them,
so when you were talking about the podcast to people, did you pull out Pocket Dave and say, this is my co-host?
Say hi, Dave. You don't have to shake his hand.
My voice?
Yeah. I tried to get them to shake your hand, but they wouldn't. They just had to shake your leg because your hand was attached.
Shake your leg. Yeah.
You can shake his leg. They were all like, no. So that was really cool. So that ended up taking a lot longer than we thought it would. So then, one of the big things about the weekend was the iffiness of the weather. And Friday was really beautiful. It was sunny and nice and fairly warm. And Saturday it was supposed to pour down rain. And we had scheduled an author event in a place called the Cleveland Public Square, and they were going to have live music, then an outdoor stage, live music, food trucks, and all that kind of stuff. And we were going to be set up there near Moving in Stereo was supposed to be playing in the square as well. Well, we get back to the hotel. It's like 2, so okay, things are looking good. We're going to be down there at 3:30, so we of course make posts promoting it. Well, within like a half an hour, it's sleeting.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we get contacted by the coordinator and saying, we canceled the music, we sent the food trucks home, you know, we're pretty much done. But he said, you can go, I'll put you in this cafe. There was kind of a cafe in the square, so you'll be indoors. We'll put you in there. And so, okay, great. We try to, you know, put on social media, we're moving, but still come down and see us. So hang on just one second. If you write me a note. Okay. Oh my goodness.
This is Family Podcast.
Oh my God. Keeping it real, folks.
Write her a note.
Keeping it real.
Mom, my bed is on fire.
And I write back as I keep talking, find the extinguisher. We've been through the drill.
Can't you see I'm podcasting?
Exactly. I'm talking about the Rock Hall, people. So, I mean, basically, long and the short of it is the event kind of ends up being a bust because it's pouring. It's
nobody's going to come out
insanely-
and come to the place to get into the cafe because it's pouring to begin with, right?
Exactly. But we did have some faithful people that came down. Alan came down and said, hey. Charlene came down and introduced herself, which was great to meet her. She took some pictures. Another gal named Vicky stopped by who I was really happy to meet. I wish I could have talked with her more, but she was she knew Benjamin in the past. And then Katrina came down, so it was good to see her. I got to show her my panorama shoes, which I did not wear because of the rain, but I brought with me in case I needed to show them off.
Did you hang them around your neck?
I should have. No, but I did put them on the counter. So they were quite cute. But who else came down was the guy who'd like to remain anonymous. So I'll just call him N.
Okay.
From Future Rock Legends on Twitter. You know who that is?
I'm drawing a blank.
So he's a rock hall watchdog. He's a Hall of Fame watchdog, and he posts a lot of stuff about. He's the one that was keeping track of who's been announced to be inducted and who he just. You would know him if you saw him on there. I think you might follow him. So he came down, and I had been communicating with him a little bit on Twitter, and so I was glad to meet him in person, and he came down and talked. And then Chris Morris came down.
Yay, Chris!
I know, and I just really appreciate Chris so much because I had been communicating back and forth with him. We were trying to find a time, when can we meet up? And he said, I'll come to the square. Well, then of course it got canceled and moved, and he's like, I'm on my way. And I just thought it was so great for him to still come down. He was on kid duty. He has a couple of 12-year-olds that were very kind to let us sit and chat with their dad, and so they came down to the coffee shop. So we, there were a few people that we met, and then it was just basically N and Chris and Joe and I, and we just sat around talking for a while, and it was so interesting, just talking about Rock Hall stuff, the ins and outs, the politics of it all, and predictions, and just so great, just so fun. Chris too is so funny, and it was just really, it ended up being really a good time personally, even though professionally it was kind of a bust, because of the weather. Yeah. But then of course, we're sitting there talking, and then it's like, okay, what time it is? Is it? Oh my gosh, it's 5:30. We need to break this down and go because we have to get to the ceremony because it was Saturday. And so
and the doors opened at what?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30.
And
the ceremony
showtime was
7:30.
7:30. Okay.
Yes. So we had set up. We made this huge poster to promote the book of that Marco Glaviano picture of Benjamin, where he's holding the rhythm guitar from the door-to-door sessions, which was quite wonderful, if I do say so myself. And so we just got all the materials, had to call the guy to come pick up the easel and the table cover and all that stuff, and ended up zipping back to the hotel, getting changed really quick, and then heading down to the venue. And I know that many are on the edge of their seats wondering what I ended up wearing, since it was...
I was going to ask, but I didn't want to sound creepy.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I just ended up wearing blue jeans, like a kind of a dark blue jeans, and then a panorama blue blouse, sleeveless blouse with a black, like a light black sweater over it. Not really a sweater, just sort of a kind of a sweater, but it wasn't heavy.
And a beret?
No beret. No, I didn't go with the beret. But I wore my panorama shoes, and I wore my panorama earrings. Yes. So, did that. Hustled back down to the venue. I ended up missing part of the beginning. In fact, I didn't even know that the Killers had done the Tom Petty tribute until later, and I was really disappointed to have missed it, but I know I'll be able to watch it. It'll be around.
Yeah, and so you're going in there, and you had a single seat, and so obviously when you go in there, you're sitting among people that you didn't know, right? It's just you.
Kind of, because Joe had a ticket too. So, and we were up in the rafters, but not in the same sections. Mm-hmm. And so, well, let me just tell you too. First, just arriving at the Cleveland Public Auditorium or Public Hall, just like had to stop for a minute outside the venue and just go, oh my gosh, they're in there. They are in there. Elliot's in there. David's in there. Rick's in there. Greg's in there. Ah! Like, okay, breathe.
Probably eating cold cuts.
Oh, maybe meatloaf. Maybe Paulina brought a meatloaf. Maybe.
Who knows?
You don't know. Maybe throwing cold cuts against the wall.
Maybe.
And so, very exciting. So anyway, so we got up to our seats, and we were in different sections and stuff. And when I got there, people were sitting in my seat, and so we were kind of in our own seats for a little bit. But then Joe had seats next to him because people were just kind of sitting anywhere. Once you got up in the sections, you could just sit wherever you wanted, it seemed like. So he ended up signaling me to come over there. So I ended up sitting with Joe for most of the ceremony, which was really great to have somebody, another Cars fan. And when you're surrounded by Bon Jovi fans, it's nice to have another Cars fan to hang out with.
It was predominantly a Bon Jovi crowd, from what I understood.
They were definitely the most present in the sense that, like, when I got there, it was in the middle of Howard Stern's whatever, which I I was glad to not hear what he had to say, but I'm sure I'll go back and listen. But and the Bon Jovi people were on their feet. I mean, and when the band came out, I mean, they stood through the whole thing. There were people just standing through John's interminable speech, and Richie Sambora's who knows what he was talking about, and oh my gosh! And I like partway through, I turned to Joe because I don't like John Bon Jovi was just going on and on and on, and then he was like, and then it was 1985. And I was like, oh my gosh. I turned to Joe and I was like, oh, good. You know, there's only 20, 30 more years to go through before he finishes his speech. You know, it's like for crying out. And it was like 10 minutes at that point. It was 10 minutes long. I mean, at that point, it was 10 minutes long. I think he ended up going like 20. And so anyway, the Bon Jovi fans, yes, they were on their feet. They were partying when they were playing, which is great. I don't have a problem with people expressing their fandom. I just loved watching the people and just thought it was great because they were loving it. They were absolutely loving it.
So the way they did this, though, from the way I took it, was Howard Stern talks. He introduces the band. They do their acceptance speeches, and then at what point do they perform? Right after that?
Yeah, right then.
So they just hand them their stuff and whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So
they just walk over because the stage is there's the stage off to the left and to the right. There were areas where the speeches were made, and in the center, the center was all dark except there was a large screen for like the slideshows or the montage things, and so while the guys are making their speeches on the dark stage, you can see people setting up the equipment for that band.
Gotcha.
So then they headed over.
And what I did in my neck of the woods was follow along on Twitter.
Okay.
Which I just basically followed the Rock Hall 2018 hashtag.
Okay.
And it's like 3 new tweets, 5 new tweets, 6 new tweets. And that's kind of how I followed the ceremony along, which was, believe it or not, tremendously exciting.
Oh, yeah.
It was. I was just like, holy crap. So, but I wanted to read to you a message that I got from one of the group members concerning Bon Jovi.
Okay.
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 Which I just thought was just hilarious.
Okay.
It says, so the big moment for Bon Jovi arrives. They begin their performance. The entire floor stands and dances, except guess who? Yes, Rick, Greg, David, and Elliot sat there stone-faced watching and sometimes scanning the crowd.
Yes.
And it says, I kind of imagine Rick watching Bon Jovi thinking, this is exactly what I did not want my band to look or sound like.
Yes! That rocks, Alan. Yes. I love it. And, that's the thing, like, I was just rolling my eyes at Bon Jovi. I know the songs, I can listen to him and that kind of thing, but he just rubs me the wrong way so much that I don't enjoy what they do, and I really don't know that they deserve to be inducted, personally. But like I said, I enjoy the fandom, and it was, hearing a band play live is always different. Mm-hmm. That you do get a certain level of enjoyment about it because it's a live band and they're doing their thing. But yeah, I sat down most part of the way through. I mean, I sat down during John's speech because it was going on forever. But I stood a little bit, but then I was just like, I love that the guys didn't stand. That's awesome.
Yeah. So then after Bon Jovi came the Cars, and that's where I really got into the Twitterverse there. Yeah,
see, because then they did I think they did Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and then they did Dire Straits. And I do just want to say about Dire Straits, it was really a shame that there was not somebody there inducting Dire Straits.
Yeah.
Like you really felt it in the auditorium that it was just not okay with everybody, but supporting Dire Straits. I mean, like it was kind of like a wow, Rock Hall. This really sucks of you somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. Have you ever watched from last year Steve Miller talking in the press room?
I heard about it. I don't think I've watched it,
Yeah.
but I do remember hearing about it.
Just go to YouTube and search it,
Okay.
because he has a very valid point, and the point is that you basically induct us into your Hall of Fame, but then you kind of treat us like crap,
Yeah.
in the fact that they say to you, okay, you're in, the legal aspects of it they don't even bother with, as far as getting permissions to use this or this or this, and then they give you 2 tickets,
Yeah.
and if you want extra tickets, 10 grand a piece.
Yeah.
10 grand. I mean, talk
Can
about
you
gouging
imagine?
somebody.
Well, just
And so, yeah, and so the deal with Dire Straits and Mark Knopfler was that, hey, you want me in your rock hall? You gonna, get me there? What's going to be? And they're just like, well, no, and tickets are going to be this, and so he just kind of went, well, forget that then.
Yeah.
That's what his story was.
Yeah. Well, and I understand. I've got so many thoughts on it. Well, and I don't know if you heard in Greg's acceptance speech, he said I think he thanked, was it Jeff Kramer, for picking up the extra tickets for his.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, there were little things like that you just, you want to do the tisk tisk, shake, rub one finger across the other index finger at the rock hall. Like, shame on you. For Pete's sake, you're making so much money off of this. They are, which also reminded me that when I did end up going to the Rock Hall gift shop, there was no Cars specific merchandise. There was stuff with all of the inductees on it. And when we asked somebody at the hall, in the museum gift shop, don't you have Cars t-shirts? Where are the Cars stuff? And they said, no, we couldn't get the licensing for it. And so, I don't know the whole story behind there, but it's just like, you've got to be kidding me. You just...
Did you pick up a Rock Hall coin?
I did not. No.
I actually ordered one.
Very cool.
Because I was looking online for one, because that was one of my things that I wanted, and they were sold out. And then I contacted the Rock Hall, and I can't remember her name, Colleen maybe.
Okay.
And she said, oh yeah, those sold out in the weekend. We're going to try and get them online. And she told me when they're going to be back online, and I snagged one.
Nice.
Because I know what I really wanted was to have a replica plaque with just the cars on it, but they've never done that, which I think that those would sell if they did that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the coin is exactly what that is. It's the little Rock Hall logo, the record, and then on the back it lists the inductees.
The inductees, nice.
So
nice.
Yeah, so I'll have that coin to go with my 50-cent piece
that you had made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you the Dire Straits part, I guess, in chronological order. But it was really a shame the way that the whole Dire Straits thing was handled, and your heart just went out to them. And then, of course, there was no performance by them at all, which just was such a hole in the entire night. That it was just such a missing piece. It was a shame. And then the Cars came on after that, and oh my gosh, it was so cool. It was so cool. Brandon Flowers, amazing, perfect choice.
Now, let me stop you there.
Please.
Remember, I'm remaining spoiler free.
Okay.
So you're going to have to choose your words wisely.
Well, then I'll back up. You're staying spoiler free till May 5th?
Oh, yeah. I haven't looked at any of the speeches. I haven't looked at any of the performances. I know what they played.
Well, then what were you watching on Twitter? What were you tracking on Twitter? Just the comments and stuff?
Just the comments. And basically at the point where the Cars came on, it was, first song they're playing is, and then they
My Best Friend's Girl. Yeah.
My Best Friend's Girl. And then I took that moment to say, well, I'm 0 for 1. And then after Best Friend's Girl, it was You Might Think, right?
Yep, correct.
And then I was like, well, 0 for
2.
And then 3 was Moving in Stereo. And I was like, I'm 0 for 3, man.
But,
none of them.
But then Redemption.
You knew they were going to do just what I needed.
Yeah.
You knew they were going to do it. So I was 1 for 4 on my carpool, my Cars pool playlist pool. So.
Yes. It was quite surprising. Well, see, then I don't know how we're going to do the second part one. I mean, if Jenny, Kurt, and I can't analyze it together in depth, it's going to...
I don't know. Maybe I'll just have to not listen to you guys.
Maybe we'll record it without you, and then we'll present it to you as your birthday present.
Yeah, thanks.
No, we could never do it without you. Well, we'll have to think about that before we record part 2. I will be careful. I will just tell you that that it was everything I hoped for the most part. How would I word that? I was not disappointed. I wanted more for Benjamin, but I was not disappointed. Does that make sense?
Well, and there was a lot of mention of him, correct? I mean, every person mentioned him.
Yes, each of the members mentioned him, and Rick's in particular was I teared up. It was very moving. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. In the slideshow, there were clips of interviews that I've never seen, and I don't think anybody has ever seen, which was very cool, and of course makes us just go, give us that stuff.
Yes.
We know you have it. So that was really neat, and then the performances were great. There was a point, one point, Elliot's kind of had a little misstep in his solo, and you could see him just shaking his head. I mean, he recognized it. It was really, really cool to see them perform. And
are you surprised they didn't do touch and go?
No.
I mean, they've got the bass player in there.
No, because you know why?
I mean, that solo.
I know. But I think it's because I'm not saying it's because of David, but I don't know how up to snuff David is right now. You know what I mean? I mean, it seems like a tricky song to play, and he had I think he was playing to a click track, and he was very nervous. Oh, I can't wait for you to see his stuff. Dave, why do you have to be spoiler free? No, that's fine. But
well, here's my thought on being spoiler free. I don't want to get on YouTube and watch a bunch of
cruddy,
shaky and or vertically aligned cell phone footage.
I know.
Crap, whatever, and I can watch it on HBO on my television.
Yes.
With great sound and the whole bit.
I totally get it, because yes, you want to be able to see it well done the first time you see it. I totally get it. And I was taking pictures and video, like a moron. My camera ran out of battery. I was so unprepared. I am not the photographer of the family, I'm telling you. And so what a loser. But I was also thinking, you know what? There is nothing I'm going to be able to get from, way back here. I'm in another zip code practically in the back of the building. I'm not going to be able to get anything anybody's going to really want to watch coming off of my crummy equipment. Yeah. When I know,
zoom in, it's going to be grainy.
Exactly, it's exactly what it was. And I did get a few things. I mean, I wanted stuff just for myself, but I was even thinking, I doubt I'll watch this stuff. I'm going to go see what else. So many people shot it better. So I don't blame you for. I totally get it. I just I want to rehash it with you. So we need to. May 6th, you and I will have to talk and go over all of it together. But David,
we'll say with our listeners, this is going to be a 2-part podcast. We're going to have the second part where we have Jenny and Kurt on along with us, and you guys are going to have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to watch it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like you're going to read to me Greg's acceptance speech. You can talk about stuff and so forth.
Oh.
I think that'll
let me cross that off my list really quick. Do not read Greg's. Okay, got it.
Right.
So David was really nervous. So going back to the whole question of touch and go, it didn't surprise me that they didn't play it. I was surprised that they played moving in stereo. To be honest,
that is a shocker.
Yeah, I was really surprised, but they nailed it. Oh, it was so incredible to hear it live, and to hear it live by them. You know, And I will tell you this. I wonder if it was on purpose. I kind of feel like it might have been. But they never showed Scott Schreiner on the big boards. On the big screens. Mm-hmm. And I wondered if that was their maybe not compromise, but you know what I mean, their way of keeping Benjamin, because there was an outcry about having a bass player by some members, and so maybe it was their way of saying, hey, we've got a bass player, but we're not going to play him up. You know what I mean? He kind of, because even in Moving in Stereo, when there was the little bass run, they actually showed Rick, and he had like a pick in his mouth or something. He was kind of looking around. And then I think they showed Elliot, and he was, they showed people who were not really, but they didn't show Scott.
Yeah.
And so
but I understand him being on stage, because this is Scott Schreiner. I mean, he's with Weezer. Weezer's an awesome band. If it was just some studio musician, they could have stuck him back where nobody even saw him and let him play bass.
Yes.
But it's a respect thing.
Absolutely. And so that's why I wonder if they didn't purposefully train the cameras on him. But he was definitely he was in a spotlight. I mean, I could see him from where I was. I could see his little bod up there. So it was just amazing. It was so great. And I stood through the whole thing, just like, the Bon Jovi fans stood through their whole thing. I stood through my guys, and it was really exciting. And then from what
I understand, a lot of Bon Jovi fans left after Bon Jovi performed.
Yes.
True?
Yes.
Like in droves.
Yes. It was noticeable.
Wow.
Which to me, okay. Yes, they did. But, if you're going to follow a guy like John Bon Jovi, if that's your hero, well, then it doesn't surprise me you're going to act like him. Because I understand they left, too. The Bon Jovi band, that they left. Really? That's what I read.
Wow.
I know. And so I'm sure Jenny and Kurt and I will talk about that, because that's a whole little topic of its own. Okay, so after they played, my adrenaline was so high, of course. I just could not believe it. But here's what I did not expect. I lost it. Like, I sat down, and then, like, I just felt almost like deflated, but not really deflated, just sort of this crushing, like, I just started bawling. I just, like, bent over into my lap. I was just crying and crying. And I just couldn't, like, I was thinking of all this stuff, like, they all mentioned Benjamin, and even, Brandon Flowers said, he's from Cleveland, and it was just all this. So they, it was the Benjamin thing, and Benjamin's not here. But then it was also, I can't believe I'm seeing the Cars play live. Like, I really got to see them play live. And then also this feeling of, is this the end of an era? Did I just witness the closing of the curtain? It was so emotional for me.
I totally understand where you're coming from. I felt something very similar following along on Twitter when it was over.
Yes.
It's just, and it's this feeling of, where do I go now? What do I do now? It's over. All this that we've been working for so many years, it's done.
Yes. And it was such a powerful feeling, like, and I just didn't expect to feel any of that. I knew I would have the Benjamin thing, but I just didn't expect to feel all that. And Dave, I have to tell you, I cried the entire rest of the ceremony. I could not, I would kind of pull myself together a little bit, but I just could not clear it up. And
was it a quiet cry, or was it a real ugly cry?
Was I keening?
Were you doing that? That kind of thing?
No, it wasn't quite that bad. Not until the very end, anyway. I'll tell you that part. But no, it was just the streaming eyes. And, of course, I did not have enough Kleenex, and so I'm, by the end of the show, I'm all snotty and, just half drooling.
Wait,
and
you mean Joe didn't offer his sleeve?
Poor Joe, he did.
Jeez, Joe.
No, Poor Joe. I'll tell you about Joe in a second. Because, of course, as I'm first crying, I'm bent over and I'm, sort of sobbing. And so then, pretty soon I feel these sort of little gentle pats on my back, a little rubs, kind of gentle. I'm thinking, especially later, oh, poor Joe. He probably did not.
You're thinking she's cramping up.
Something. And so, no, he was very, very good. And I did, like I said, kind of pulled it together, but I was still just sort of streaming eyes. And the Nina Simone thing was good. It was good to learn about her, and I appreciated all that stuff. But it just went on for a really long time. I think I think they did 5 songs for Nina Simone and only 4 for the other artists, which was interesting. And then her brother got up and made a really long speech and had to almost be dragged off the stage. Because he was like, when he got up there, he said, they told me I have 3 minutes, but I'll stay up here as long as I want. I think it was almost a half hour long, his thing. And so that was interesting. I think I might have fallen asleep during part of that. But it did give me time to try to, get my crying in order. And then the Moody Blues came out. And I know the Moody Blues music, of course. I've never bought any of their stuff. But they were so good.
Really?
Oh, my gosh. They were so good. And these guys are...
Remember my Moody Blues story?
Yes, I do.
Did you take a break in between, after the second song?
No, but listen to what happened. I was totally thinking of you. Because they got up to do their speeches. They were inducted by Ann Wilson, which she was a kick, and then they got up there to make their speeches, and they did a great job. But then they were done, and then I guess they got some sort of signal that they weren't supposed to be done yet because they weren't finished setting up the band. Wasn't finished setting up their instruments and stuff, so they had to keep talking, and so. That was funny. I mean, just the way they handled it all was really funny. And then when they finally did get done, they went, they left the speech area and headed into the dark where the stage was. And then it was probably it was a few minutes. In my head, it seemed like it had to have been 5 or 10 minutes. But
they are old.
All I could think of was, I know they're back there taking a break. Where's my chair? I can't play yet. I gotta breathe for a minute. Whew.
Oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. Could somebody take my blood pressure before I get back out there? I was laughing so hard just thinking of that, what you had said. And but then they got out there and they were great. I have had Moody Blues songs in my head since I got back. I can't stop singing their songs. They killed it. They were great. They were the perfect. Yeah, I love that they were great closing act. They did it upright. They were good. They were really good. And so that was really great. But then, oddly, at the very end, you may or may not know this, so I'll kind of be careful, but at the very end, they got done with their set, and then they were like, okay, good night. Lights on the stage went out. Lights overhead came on. It was over.
And that was it?
That was it. Like the Moody Blues going, get out. It was so weird.
They didn't do like a jam with different people together? They did
not. Nope. They did no jam. No one even came.
You remember my prediction on that? It was Good Times Roll.
Mm-hmm. Nobody.
Wow.
Yeah. And nobody came out and it wasn't like the Moody Blues got to leave the stage and then someone came out and said, "Thank you for coming. We hope you had a good time. Rock on." No, it was the Moody Blues waving, going, "Okay, good night." It was the most abrupt, it was like having someone over to your house for dinner and then having that host tell you, hit the lights on your way out, we're going to bed.
Well, it was past the Moody Blues bedtime by then, wasn't it?
Those poor guys. Well, they could have gone and napped. Someone could have come out and said goodnight. It was really strange. And so I'm trying to think if there was anything else from the Cars performance, but yeah, we'll just wait for the other thing. So the house lights come on, and And again, so I'm kind of sitting there trying to get it together, and Joe's so nice. He kind of puts his hand on my shoulder, and I just started crying again. I just cried. I sat there and cried and cried. They played some song over the PA system. I don't even know what it was because I was so busy crying. And then they played Bye Bye Love.
Oh, great.
It was great. I'm telling you, I was a
And then
mess.
you cried some more, didn't you?
I cried even harder. That was when I got to that was when I was at the stage of, and poor Joe, like I said, he was such a gentleman. He was so nice, and he's trying to rub my back, and I'm kind of, at one point I am like crying on his shoulder, so I know his shirt was all snotty and teared up, and but he's patting my back, and he's saying, it's okay, breathe,
It's all right, Pepper.
A little bit.
It's okay, Pepper Potts.
I cried and cried, and then Bye Bye Love was over, and they didn't play any more music. So that was the last voice you heard in the auditorium, was Benjamin's voice.
No, that's cool.
It was so cool, Dave. Oh my gosh, it was so fitting. It was so perfect. So I was a wreck. I was just a wreck, and but I did manage to pull myself together. Finally, I literally think we were the last ones up in the balcony area. And then, I know the ushers were coming to, coming at me from all sides, I'm sure, thinking we got to get her out of here. We don't know what to expect. So we left, and that was fine. I went back to the hotel, and I wrote down notes, took down my feelings and stuff. And it was just, it was amazing. It was amazing, Dave. I still, and even the next morning, when I got up and I hardly was on social media at all. And so I meant to tell you that before. Sorry I didn't tweet stuff. Sorry I didn't get on, but I just didn't get on hardly at all the whole weekend. And part of it was busy, but especially after the induction, part of it was just, I was so emotional. I got on the next morning, I did pop on Twitter, I saw a couple of things about it, and I just started crying again. I mean, I wasn't as bad, but I just was so emotional over it. It was just, and again, it's just that combination of those things. Benjamin, seeing them live. Is this the end? Is this the sun going down on these guys? I mean, just all very emotional. And so let's see, I'm trying to think of, so Sunday morning I did sleep in a little bit, and then I got on, and can you just take that out of the room?
Yeah, for God's sake, somebody answer the phone.
Dave's wondering who's going to answer the phone. So I got up Sunday morning, slept in for a little while, had a good cry, and then I messaged Kurt and said, where are you at this morning? What are you guys doing? And he said, I'm down at the Rock Hall Museum. And he had been chatting with Diane Page. And did I want to come down? And I said, well, I think I might have insinuated myself into that. I might have said I'd love to meet her. Is she going to be there for a while? And he said something about come down, tell Joe. And so long and the short of it is I ended up going and picking up, because Nat was still at the hotel. So I went to pick up Nat, brought her down, and I did get to meet Diane Page, which was really cool. And she was really sweet. She was very lovely. I met her husband, Don. He was totally cool and nice.
And she makes jewelry now, does she not?
She does. She makes beach glass jewelry, I think is what it's called. And so, I think they were only there for maybe another 10 or 15 minutes once Nat and I got down there. They had a plane to catch or they were doing something. And so, but she was just great. She was gracious. She was open. She was very sweet. And I ended up, we chatted a little bit, and then I did ask her, if it wasn't too forward, would she be willing to let me interview her for my blog? And she said, sure, she would love that. So that was exciting for me. And I said, I'll send you a friend request, and maybe we can set up something. So I'm going to try really hard not to push that too hard. But
did you ask her if she ever wanted to come on Night Thoughts podcast for trivia?
No, I didn't quite get around to that. That was my
Versus John?
versus John. Ay, ay, ay. Well, I thought we could do like, don't they have like Rockstar Wives? Isn't that a TV show? We could do
Yeah.
like, if you, maybe I can get Judith to come on and, we could do some sort of head to head.
Yeah.
No, yeah, no.
That'd be awesome.
No, she was really great. And so that was really neat. So I got to chat with her for a little while. So then we sat down there. So Kurt and Nat and Joe and I sat there talking. There's these kind of tables on that main floor. And so we're sitting there yakking. And who should walk into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum?
El Glenduchet.
Oh, rats, no. Mr. David Robinson.
Wow.
Yes. And so Nat spotted him, and so of course we're all like, and he's got a couple people with him. He goes to Robin. Remember my friend Robin from Friday?
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Robin's line, and but he's being escorted. There's a Rock Hall security person with him and two other people, I think, and they bring him around. It's hard to, it's like a letter C, okay? So he's at one end of the letter C, and we're sitting kind of around about at the other end of the C, okay? So he's walking around that C toward us, and then there's an escalator that he gets on, I don't know, 10 feet from us, 15 feet from us to go down. And he's escorted by these people. And as he's coming toward us, I am just, well, one, I'm dying. And also I'm calculating. How can I meet him? Because I have to meet him. It's David Robinson. And
not cry.
And not cry and not jump on him like a spider monkey. And maintain some sort of normalcy.
Yeah.
And then also just going, oh my gosh, he looks so great. He's got that beard. He's wearing like black leather jacket, black jeans, black boots. He's got, one of his Triumph t-shirts on. His hair's in a ponytail. He's just looking so good. And I'm just thinking, I got to get to him. I got to meet him. So they lead him down the escalator. And again, I'm thinking, okay, I know you don't approach the actual person. You got to find the handler. You got to find who's the one that's really the authority to get to meet him. So I'm calculating.
By the way,
Tell
to
me.
our listeners, Donna is my handler. Do not approach me.
I am your handler.
Do not. You talk to Donna first. You get through Donna to get to me.
Well, they do, but it's not like what you're thinking. That Dave, they're always coming to me.
Exactly.
Not because they want to meet you, but because they want to complain.
They want to complain, yeah.
No. So they go down the escalator. Okay, so oh, I forgot to tell you this. Oh, I'm just going to blurt it out. I got a media pass.
You got a media pass?
Yes, but now I'm going to burst your bubble. I never got to use it.
Now, you got the media pass from being Pepper Potts, correct?
No, I got the media pass because when Joe was being interviewed by Bill Lewis for a radio station, the guy that was sitting with him, there were two media passes sitting on the table, and I picked him up, and I was like, so I'm picking him up, I'm looking at him thinking, can I slip this in my purse? Can I live with myself if I stole this off the table? And the program guy sitting next to him says, you can have one of those. And I was like, well, actually, I think the first thing I said was, really? And he was like, yeah. And then I said, can I have two of them? And he was like, no, one's Bill's, but you can have the other one. And I was like, okay. So of course I immediately slip it in my purse, like please don't. I know, aren't I terrible? And so I slipped it in my purse, of course, but then immediately just like, where can I have access? What can I do with this? I've got to do something. And but then I noticed that people that had media passes also had special colored wristbands, and there was markings on their media passes. I found out later that each one had the date on it, and was initialed. I think so I wouldn't have gotten far, for sure. But of course, I was thinking, I wonder if my media pass will get me to wherever David Robinson is. As I see his white head, sinking down the escalator shaft. I'm thinking, how, do I have any pull here at all? Well, no, of course I didn't. But Robin, so I'm deciding I'm going to go down the escalator. I'm going to follow him down there and see if I can see where he's at and what's going on. Well, at the same time, Robin, my rock hall friend, gets on the escalator too, and I said, okay, I just saw David Robinson go down here. How can I get to him? And she said, so she's like, well, the security gal that's from the rock hall, her name is Becky. I'll see if I can, that's who you need to talk to. Get down the escalator. Becky's not there. They're not there anywhere. She says, okay, I'll go find Becky for you. I was like, thank you. That's so awesome. So I'm waiting down there, and there's a guy who's also kind of standing around. He has a media pass on, and so I go up and introduce myself to him, and, I said, are you waiting for David Robinson to come out? And he's like, oh, no, I just had my picture taken with David Robinson. I'm like, oh, dang. But he said, so he introduced himself, and I introduced myself. Well, he's Steve Ash, also known as The Stash, from a Baltimore radio program. So I said, oh, well, I'm here with Joe Milliken. I did my, my PR thing. And
Steve Ash, known as The Stash.
The Stash. He does the morning stash. Let me tell you, he was great. He was a kick. He was high energy, probably would be diagnosed with ADD if he hasn't already. I mean, he was just go, 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 go. Great guy. So funny. So I told him about Joe, and he said, oh, yeah, I'll interview him right now. So I did end up getting Joe an interview on that Baltimore radio station by meeting Stash. And so the Becky comes back out, and I say, I'm using Joe as my hopeful in. I've got Joe Milliken here. He had, spoken with David a few years ago, and was there any chance that we can come in and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, I will give him the card. I wrote Joe's cell phone number on it. If he is able to do it, she said he's on a tight schedule, but if he is able to do that, I will have him call Joe's cell, and but I will get this to him. So, okay, that's great. Take Steve Ash upstairs, get him going with Joe, and thinking it over. Kurt Gaber's got some stickers he had wanted to give to the band members, so I said, I'll take him down there and try to get him to David, because I want to try again. Go back down there. Becky's nowhere to be found. I approach somebody else. Oh, yeah, I'm looking for Becky. They take me back in these Rock Hall offices where they're apparently celebrating the end of the weekend. They've got this table with all these hors d'oeuvres and, fancy stuff. There's people sitting around talking, and the friendliest people ever. They're all like, come on in, come sit down. Do you want something to eat? No, I'm just looking for Becky. I'm not, I don't mean to be a pest. I just was, wanted to talk to Becky for just a minute. Well, come and sit down with us. How was your weekend? Where'd you fly in from? Da, 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 da. So they're just all chatting it up with me, and I'm thinking, I'm so going to meet David Robinson. But no, Becky came out and said, I said, I'm sorry to bother you again. I just wanted to find out, did you get a chance to talk to David? She said, yep, you're not being a pest at all. She said, just friendliest. I put the card in David's hand. He knows you guys are here. If he has time, he will give you a call. I said, well, these are some stickers that were made by another gentleman who's had some contact with David in the past, and would you mind giving these to David? He made them especially for David. And, oh, I will be happy to do that. Yes, thank you so much. And shake hands. And did you want anything to eat? No, I'm good. And then they escorted me out. So I was like, okay, rats. Well, that's over. Go back up to the table, sitting there talking and stuff. Well, then so there's that letter C, right? So we're on that one end. Well, directly across from the center of the letter C, like between the two ends, just a straight line out of the letter C. Over there is the Rock Hall gift shop, and there's David at the Rock Hall gift shop, and I'm like, I gotta go, people. And you know what? It's so funny because Joe and Nat and Kurt were totally cool and not at all like, how can we get to him? They were just like, oh wow, there's David Robinson. Not me. I was like, I have to get to him. So I snuck around a back entrance into the gift shop that I had found before. It's personnel only or employees only, but I go through it anyway. Go back through there, come around to the front. So I'm coming around, walking toward David instead of to his back, and he's got something in his hands, which I also bought one of because
probably a taser.
because David had one. No, I believe, if I'm correct, I believe it was a Rock Hall ornament, a Christmas ornament. It's like a flat metal
Okay, hold on a second, Donna. You're really breaking up.
Oh, no, I can't be.
You are.
Can you hear me better now?
Now, yes.
Okay, I won't move. He's got this, what I think was a Christmas ornament, a 2018 inductees Christmas ornament. And as I'm coming around the corner, I hear him say, he's with two other people. I hear him say to the other person says to him, "We've got to go." And David says, "I know, I just have to buy this for Greg." And I thought it was the sweetest thing ever. And so the other guy's saying to him, "Well, we can get that. Yes, we'll get that. We'll grab that for you or something." And David's handing him this ornament thing that he wanted to buy for Greg. And so I say to the other guy that's standing with David, I say to him, "Is it okay if I meet him?" Because I'm right there, like 2 feet away. I'm standing right there with them. And so I'm looking at the other guy saying, "Is it okay if I meet him?" And he taps David on the arm. And David looks at me.
He said, "Oh, you're the chick who was bawling her butt off last night."
No. So he looks at me, and he's so beautiful.
He says,
he's so beautiful.
"How you doing?"
Yeah. Yo, what's up? He smiles at me, and he just is so beautiful, Dave. And so he says, he looks at me, and I look at him, and I say, "Like an idiot." Like an idiot, Dave. I say to him, "May I meet you?"
That is bad.
Oh my gosh, I know. And I'm sitting outside myself.
You saying to the guy, "Get me out of here"?
He was so sweet. No, but I'm, how you always have like your little self outside of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going, "Idiot, what is wrong with you?" And so he says, "Of course you can meet me," and he puts out his hand. And so I shake his hand, and his hand is so warm, and he holds my hand the whole time he's talking to me. My daughter is now sitting at my feet going, "I haven't heard this story yet."
This is fantastic.
Okay, shh. And so he takes my hand, and he holds my hand the whole time. And he makes eye contact with me the whole time he's talking to me, which is not very long, of course. But I say, when we shake hands, I say, "My name is Donna, and on Facebook I go by Sweet Purple June." And he says to me, "Oh, I've read your stuff. I've seen your posts." And he's like,
Really?
"Yeah," and he's nodding. He's nodding at me. "Oh, I've read your stuff. I've seen your posts." Nodding at me.
Fantastic.
Dying. The little person outside of me that was just calling me an idiot a minute before fainted. Dead away. And I say, "Well, thank you so much. What an honor for you to say that," or something like that. I said something that's an honor that you recognize me. I don't know. I just said something about it being an honor. And shook his hands, and I said, "Really, really happy to meet you." And then the people behind him are tapping him, saying, "We've got to go. We've got to go." And I think I said too, I'm here with Joe Milliken.
Call me.
I totally make the sign with my finger, my thumb and my pinky by my
Text
face.
me.
Call me. And so I said, I did say, "I'm here with Joe Milliken and some other people." And he was just like, "I'm sorry, I don't have any time." And the other guy's like, we got to go, and kind of pushing on his back. And I was like, "It's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much." And then he kind of walked away, and I died.
That's a great story, Dad.
I died. Oh.
It really is. That's awesome.
So I went back around to where everybody was sitting, but then I had to walk away for a minute because then I did cry. I did. I couldn't help
You go over
it.
there and say, "Suckers, you snooze, you lose."
In your face, people. No, I didn't. I just and my hand was still warm, and I was just in this total fangirl. I know. I'm 48 years old, and it was like I was 16. I mean, I just went and had a little cry off in the corner, and I just could not believe that I met David Robinson. And here's the other thing. it all happened so fast. Because then later when you said something about, when's he going to be on the podcast, I was wearing my podcast t-shirt. I will tell you that.
Yay!
I was wearing my Night Thoughts podcast t-shirt. But of course, I wish I had thought of something intelligent to say before I got there. Like on the way over, I could have said, okay, here's what you're going to say. Especially when he said, I think I lost all sense when he said, I've read your stuff. I've seen your posts. Like I said, my little alter ego in the sky fainted dead away. I didn't know what to do. I wish I would have said, I also podcast about you if you ever want to be on the show. Give me a call. Wouldn't that have been awesome?
Well, I think if he's read some posts, possibly one of those posts could have been about a podcast episode. So, the beauty of this is that David Robinson could possibly be aware of the number one longest running podcast about the cars.
He could possibly be aware of that, yes. He could also have just walked away shaking his head going, geez, Louise. That gal. And you know what? And maybe he says that to everyone. Maybe he goes, oh yeah, I've seen your stuff. He hasn't. I don't know. But Sweet Purple June is a pretty distinctive name. So
yeah,
I believe him. I believe him.
I think so.
My ego will not let me not believe him. I'm sure he's seen my stuff. Oh, it was so wonderful. I just was flying on that forever. And so I was all giddy about that. And then, let's see, was it that same day or was it the next day?
Were you planning on going home on that Sunday?
No. My flight didn't leave until Monday afternoon. So I know, I'll try to speed this up. I'm just blushing so hard now over the David story because it was so amazing. But I can't remember. I think it was the next. No, I think it was that day. Later that day. Let's see. So we sat and talked with Kurt and those guys for a while. What did we do? I don't even know what I did Sunday night. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. So Sunday, I literally had the rest of the day was packed. I don't know why I didn't remember this. Because I was going to meet Jenny and Yukio and Michelle. And we were going to go do some of the Bend tour. And so it was right after that. I left, right after I met David. Then I left. Pretty positive. I'm pretty positive it was after that. I left and met them. It was so cool to meet them in person. And I'm not the photographer. I wish I would have taken pictures with them, which I didn't.
And of course, my question is Jenny's voice just as soothing in person as it is coming through Skype?
It is. In fact, it was a rainy day. I met them in a cafe. I literally, when she started talking to me, I wanted to climb up in her lap and curl up against her and go to sleep.
I know,
right?
She's the Morgan Freeman of the Panorama.
She is.
Yeah.
She is. She needs a shirt that says, or at least a button. She needs a button that says that.
I'm the Morgan Freeman of the Panorama.
Yes, right? Christmas list. We have to get her that for Christmas.
I'll get on that, yeah.
Yes. So it was so great talking to the three of them. And of course, I was still so high from having met David. So I shared that story with them and we yacked a little bit. And then we went and saw... we went around and saw his childhood homes. We went to Lincoln Park. We went to the...
I was in Lincoln Park.
Yes, I saw you there.
I saw a lovely lady.
Yes.
Sure, she'd walk with me with my white wolf dog.
Yes, and your white wolf dog bit at me, so we left. I tried to pet him, and he was having none of it. Yeah.
None of it.
And
Okay.
none of it. And so... it was pouring down rain, of course, so that made it kind of miserable. And we just had a few hours together, so I didn't get to tour everything with them. But after that, I had been invited over to Neil and Diane Aiken's house to see her memorabilia and stuff, which was amazing. First of all, I just have to tell you, she is a wonderful, wonderful person. Her and her husband Neil are so great. Maybe I already said that, but they're the sweetest. We went over there. They had pizza and snacks, and Joe was there, and Kurt Gaber was there. And she was just so open and generous and sweet, just chatting about her memories with Benjamin, and it was amazing. It was really great. So I was over there for several hours, and she's another one. She said that she would be happy to let me interview her for the blog, and so I'll write an article about her. I have an angle that I want to write about with her, and so that was amazing. Spent the evening over there, talked and talked. Again, got home late, and went to bed, got up the next morning. I'm trying to think if there was anything else in between there. Got up, and so Joe and I had planned to go out to the cemetery to visit Benjamin's grave, and then we were going to meet Chris Morris, because we had forgotten to take, Chris messaged me and said, we didn't take picture selfies. And so I said, well, we're going to be downtown at the Rock Hall, because this whole weekend we haven't even toured the Rock Hall, other than that one little bit on one of the floors. I had not even seen the Cars exhibit at that point.
Oh, wow. And
so I said, I got to do that. My plane, was scheduled to leave at, I don't even remember, 3:30, 3:40. And so we just had to do it. So we got up, we drove out to the cemetery. It was really beautiful and emotional, as you can imagine. And I confess, I did not do a Pocket Benjamin picture out there, just because it was, I just...
Well, no.
Just didn't do that. And I knew you would understand that, because I know how you and I've talked extensively about those kinds of things. So I knew that wouldn't bother you. In fact, I was thinking it might bother you if I did do that.
Oh, yeah. I would have.
Okay, good. I'm glad that I know you that well. So we did that, headed down to the Rock Hall, met Chris Morris outside the Rock Hall. You've seen those pictures, and that was really cool. And then I went in and toured the Rock Museum, saw the third floor stuff, got some pictures. I did get a rubbing of the signatures. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of the signature plaque.
Yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, so I did get a rubbing of that. And then we bought some stuff in the gift shop. Okay, but so here's the funny thing about the gift shop. We're standing in there shopping around, and I love Dire Straits music, but I don't know much about their band. But I recognized one of the guys from the night before, and I said to Joe, there's a Dire Straits guy. And he's literally 3 feet away from us, but I'm because we just walked past him, I was like, there's a Dire Straits guy. So we come around this display of merchandise to where we're facing him, and we say, excuse me, do you mind if we get a picture with you? And he says, oh, not at all, I heard you. I must have turned 30 shades of red. I was so embarrassed, but of course I didn't acknowledge, I didn't really say anything. And we said, are you sure you don't mind? And he's like, oh, you're saving me from shopping. And so we look at him, and he's got all these bags, and he's holding an umbrella, and his arms are full. And we realize that walking away from him is this woman. So I don't know who she was at all, but we're obviously making the connection. It's the stereotypical, he's following her around with all of the stuff, yes. And she's doing the shopping. And it's so cute. He's like, oh, you're saving me from shopping. And so so we stood there and talked with him for a few minutes, and we did say to him, it was we just wanted you to know that we were disappointed not to hear Dire Straits play. That would have been a real treat, and we know it was probably disappointing for you too. And he was like, yeah, it really was. I mean, he was open about, he said we tried really hard to work it out, and we just couldn't work it out. And I didn't ask him, do you mean you couldn't work it out with Mark? Do you mean you couldn't work it out with the Rock Hall? I didn't pursue it, because I just felt weird about it a little bit. And so we just, and then Joe was telling me, yeah, I saw you guys live and this year and that year, and they're kind of talking that sort of thing. And so he was really gracious, and we took pictures with them and stuff, and so I'll post those. And so that was really cool. And then, of course, we get done, and he's picking up all of his bags and his stuff again to go find his person that he's with, and so that was really cute. And so then I did some shopping and got some stuff, and then it was time to head out to the airport. So of course I get to the airport. So had gotten a message that my flight had been moved to 4:37 instead of 3:40 or whatever it was. So, okay, a little extra time, but we get out there. Well, dropped off the rental car. I'm on the shuttle from the rental car to the airport and get a message that, oh, the flight is now moved back to, or moved up, whichever direction it goes, to 4 o'clock. So now guess who's late for the plane? Which I'm not thinking I'm late. It's 3:15 when I get there. So it's moved to 4 o'clock. Okay, well, I still have time. Stand in line for 20 minutes because Delta had all these delays. So I'm in line for 20 minutes. And when I finally get up there, they're like, you know, we're boarding in a few minutes. You're too late. You're not going to make it. You've just missed your flight. I was so mad.
Missed your flight. It wasn't canceled.
Right. My plane, yeah, the flight itself wasn't canceled. It was delayed and then undelayed. And then I ended up missing it.
Gotcha.
I was so mad. But what can I do? Okay, well, we'll put you on another flight. There's no flight out again until the next day. The earliest I can get on is like an 8 o'clock flight to Detroit or something, or I don't know. I can't remember. I stood there at the counter for another hour while she tried to get a flight for me. And what it ended up being was a 6:15 flight. I guess it was 6:15 to Detroit, and then to Seattle, and then to Spokane, and then I had to drive home. And then they gave me a voucher for a hotel because there was nothing else I could do. Yeah. So I got a hotel.
So how is Motel 6?
It was nicer than that, fortunately. It was actually really nice. When I got to the hotel, I thought it was going to be a dump because it looked bad from the outside, and I was just like, dang nabbit, you know, this is rude. You make me miss my flight, and then you put me up in a flea bag motel. But because even trying to get in the door, the sensor is falling off the door, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this place. The room was so nice. It was really, really nice. And I knew that Joe was still in town, and so I got a hold of him, and we ended up having dinner and working on book stuff and just relaxing, which was nice because the whole weekend had felt like it was just constant, go, 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 go. And so we did that, and then I had to be on the shuttle at 4:15 in the morning and pretty much slept through the flights on my way home and finally got home. I don't remember what time it was, 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something, right around there. So, yeah, that was my trip. It was amazing.
Well, hey, I want to put a little thing in there about Panorama kindness, and thank Kurt and Alan for their kindness towards me.
Okay.
You know, Kurt over and over had offered to let me hitch a ride with him to the Rock Hall. Alan had contacted me and asked me a couple times if he had extra tickets for the I cannot say that word.
Simulcast?
Simulcast, thank you. That he was offering me, and you know, I couldn't do it. You know, but I appreciate the thought.
Yes.
So I just wanted to thank them for that.
That's good. And you know, I do have to tell you, I was disappointed that you weren't there. I missed you.
Yeah.
I had Pocket Dave though. He kept me company.
You had Pocket Dave. You did.
Yep. I've got lots of pictures to post to Pocket Dave, so you can. I'm gonna let him out real slow, so you can.
All right.
And I do want to say I did get to ride in the Panorama Mobile. Kurt's truck was awesome. In fact, Friday morning when I was racing to get there for the TV thing, I pulled into the parking garage, and right there, front and center, was Kurt's truck. I was just like, oh, that is the best thing to see first thing in the morning. Was Kurt's awesome truck. And then of course I had to go look and see what are the pictures of Benjamin on the other side that I had never seen yet. And so snapped some pictures of that and then took off. And I did get a ride in it, which was very cool. And then and Alan was amazing. He was really great too. He was really great. I totally agree with you. He's very friendly and he looks out for people a lot, which was nice. And I do want to say too, Joe says that he wants to let everybody know how much he appreciates them getting to meet them and their support of the book, and getting to hang out with people too. He had a great time as well. So he sends a big thank you too.
Okay. And so we'll be continuing the Cleveland Rocks in a part 2, as I said, with Jenny and Kurt, and getting more info on the weekend.
Yes.
All right. So we have a couple of midnight scrolls.
We do.
Let's hit it before you start hyperventilating.
I know. Seriously, my cheeks are burning. In fact, I'm gonna take my sweater off because oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was this amazing weekend. Okay, let me see if I can find my my email here. Oh, and I've got to do music.
Are you gonna play Midnight Scroll?
Yeah, and then you'll read the first one while I pull up my email.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me play the music though. Here we go.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready?
You're ready.
All right.
Who's
So
our first email from?
this message is from Brett Bassel, right? Our good friend Brett.
Brett Bassel.
Yep.
Basile.
Yeah, hi. It's Italian instead of it's French. Okay, good. And this email is called All in the Family. And here's what Brett writes. Hello, D&D. I had a notion for a show.
Wait. Which D am I?
Which D do you want to be?
I don't care.
You're the first D. It's Dave and Donna.
Okay.
Alphabetical
Okay.
order, right? I had a notion for a show about the Cars members and their families' musical influence, as well as the members' children's endeavors in music and entertainment. A little night thought, maybe a show, I don't know. Who am I to tell the greatest podcast about the Cars what to do? Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Your super fan, BB.
Yeah, Brett is a super fan.
He is. He's amazing.
That is actually that's a good topic.
It really
You've
is.
got Rick's kids, who've been in the music scene.
Yes.
Greg, I don't know about Greg's daughter, but Greg's son, I follow him on Twitter now. He is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. I don't, he's not in music, but I know he did the comedy thing. I don't know if he's still doing it or not.
Okay.
Then you got Elliot's daughter, Sydney,
Yes.
who I know she's done some vocals
Yes.
for stuff before.
True.
So, yeah.
Well, and then recently, a relative of Benjamin, I don't know much about his sons. I have heard that his son plays the guitar a little bit, but I believe a niece or a fairly close relative of Benjamin's, I recently heard her music. Someone posted a link in one of the groups, so there's that connection as well. We could visit that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's a great topic idea.
Yeah, thank you for the suggestion, Brett.
Yeah, I'm sure you mean superfan BB.
Superfan BB.
Thanks,
That is
superfan BB.
correct.
That's right. That's his
All right.
title. Thanks, Brett. I'm glad you wrote in. Because I'm afraid of what's coming next.
Hey, it's
Yes.
an email from our buddy, Rico Kazak.
Oh, Dave.
Rico wrote in again.
Okay.
God bless Rico.
Oh,
Hey,
yes.
Are you following Rico on Facebook?
I am friends
Are you-
with Rico
are
on
you-
Facebook, yes.
You're friends with Rico?
I am friends with Rico.
He has quite the monkey problem on his job.
Yes, he does.
Poor guy.
Yes, he does.
It really does.
The other thing I noticed about Rico, because now that, of course, I'm friends with him, I see his posts around in the groups, and he calls it like he sees it,
Yeah.
as
He's
would be
pretty much
expected.
Straightforward guy.
He is.
Straightforward guy.
He is. He doesn't
And
hold back.
he has posted a few comments on the Night Thoughts Facebook page too,
Yes, he has.
as I recall.
Yes, he has.
Well, let me make sure I get my lozenge right, because I cannot read his email
Yes.
in my own voice.
Yes, I wish I
Yeah.
had. All right.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Rico's email. Greetings to you, my podcast friends. Hey, it's me, your old pal Rico. So I'm writing this week because some of the unpleasantries on the socialized media. Your old pal Rico had a few fans who were upset with it. what are you going to do, you know? A couple of the Fanorama faithful didn't like my ponderous thoughts about Benjamin Orr being bidialectual. and they're taking offense to the colorful metaphors I use in my daily verbifications. Hey, I'm not a hot guy, you know? I'm as soft as a wet cannoli. You know the video for Why Can't I Have You? It's got all that moody cinematography. A dancing ballet girl. Roses, lots of roses. And all the boys got this I'm at peace with the world look on their mugs. It's all happy and peaceful and transcendental. Yeah, I'm like that. So I wanted to take the time to step up and be all apologetic to the lady with her Benjamin romance stories.
Oh.
And the other psychic lady who's receiving messages from the great beyond on her exercise bike. Hey, remember how Gilligan generated power by riding that stationary bamboo bike on the island? Yeah, it's like that. The faster she goes, the more psychic power she generates, you know? Anyways, your old pal Rico. I'll wait.
Oh my gosh! The bamboo bike. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Rico's serious here.
I know he is. I know, and it's so touching. It really is. It's
It
just.
is. He's really being touching in this email.
We should have played violin music in the background.
He's yeah.
He's bearing
Anyway.
his soul. I'll mute my mic if I need to. Go ahead.
Your old pal Rico is sincerely sorry for these actions of mine, and I'll try my hardest to keep the circle of Fanorama respect and friendship running around like a bum with a bottle of Windex during 5 o'clock traffic. I am but a humbled and ashamed man from Staten Island.
Aw.
Nah, fuck that. I was just using shame. I still think they're fucking morons.
Oh,
Your
Rico.
Fanorama friend Rico.
Well, what did we just say? He doesn't hold back.
He's yanking our chain up.
He was. He had me going there. I was feeling really sorry for him. I wanted to hug him.
It's Rico. What can you do?
Oh my gosh. The bamboo bike from Gilligan's Island.
That's a great show.
And my kids watch it all the time. They love it.
Awesome. It's awesome. I used to have the entire series on DVD.
We have it on DVD. My kids watch
Awesome.
it. Yes, along with the
Awesome.
Munsters and the Addams Family, and yeah, the good shows.
Got it.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So, people, you can follow Rico on Facebook.
Yep, friend
I
him.
think it's Facebook, and then it's just Rico.Kazik, Kazik. You can friend Rico.
Oh, good old Rico. He's a fave.
Shenanigans at the Staten Island Zoo.
Was he at the induction? I didn't see him there.
I
I didn't even message him to try to meet up with him. I should have. If he was
you
there.
should have. And who knows what happened to El Glenn? You
Ah.
know, he had all of his plans going on. I don't know if they made it in or not.
Well, El Glenn, if you're out there listening, let us know how that went.
Yeah.
We're on the edge of our seats. I understand, well, we may or may not know who El Glenn is dating right now.
Possible. We may know.
Yes. A couple little things I forgot. Can I tell you a couple more
Sure.
things? Just little.
Sure.
One is I was disappointed I did not get to meet Christy Stratton from the Rock Solid podcast. She's also a writer for Modern Family. She's a big Cars fan. Yeah, I really wanted to meet up with her. She was going to try to get down to the square, but, it got rained out, and she probably had other things going on anyway. I did not get to meet
She
her.
had a nice picture of Elliot that she posted.
Did she? I'll have to go look.
Yeah, I think she posted it on Twitter.
Nice. Yeah. See, I know. She's she's in the upper echelons there. She wasn't hanging from the rafters like me, so I know she had lots to do.
And I might add that she has the most kick-ass profile picture. I don't think she uses it anymore, where she recreated the debut album.
Yes.
I
Yes.
wish she would start using that again.
Oh, it's awesome. Yes, I love that.
So cool.
If you go look at Rock Solid's episode where they interviewed Elliot Easton, that picture is on there.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah, so I didn't get to meet her. And you know what? I know I tweeted about this, but I was really sad not to meet Roy Thomas Baker.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him around anywhere. I wonder if he was there or not.
Roy did that turnaround, man.
That was so perfect. That was so perfect.
I love Roy Thomas Baker. I
do
love the
too.
fact that he's just a retweeter. There
yeah.
was a guy who tweeted a question to him today.
Yeah.
Do you think Roy answered him? Hell no, he just retweeted
Just
it.
retweeted it.
Somebody answer this guy.
That is awesome.
I just retweeted it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, well, I was hoping he would retweet my, because of course I tried to bait him with my little thing saying I wanted to meet him and my post about him, and then I don't think he retweeted that one. He either didn't see it or he was like, nope, too close. Although,
Who knows?
yeah, he did like that I wanted to make him a casserole, but he didn't like that I wanted to meet him.
There you go.
And then the other thing, when you do, I want to just mention this before, so I don't forget, but when you do get a chance to watch, when you do watch the thing, I'm assuming you're going to tape it or record it, whatever they call it now, the broadcast. Someone said, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Kurt, he said that on Rick's guitar, no, who was it? It doesn't matter. On Rick's guitar, they thought that there was a little sticker or an emblem or a decal of some kind on his guitar that was the silhouette of Benjamin.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, as I was scanning over my notes as we're shutting things down, I saw I had jotted that down. So we need to find that because that would be the coolest thing ever. Don't you think? Don't you think? Yeah. So classy, so cool. So I hope that that's what that is. I need to find footage and zoom in and see what I can figure out. So. Yeah. All right. Yes. Very cool.
So, Donna, where can people find you?
Oh, please come find me on Twitter at SweetPurpleJune. I also have my blog called sweetpurpljune.wordpress.com. And you can find me on Facebook. I run the Benjamin Orr Sweet Purple June Facebook page. Come find me.
And she's also known to hang around gift shops.
Only if you're famous.
Yep. And you can find me, folks, on Twitter at @night_spots, SPOTS. Come on, people. Come over to Twitter. Donna, how much fun is Twitter?
Twitter's a blast. I love Twitter.
Twitter is a blast.
It is.
And I will tell you this, people talk about with Facebook, being to interact with famous people and so forth. You get to do that on Twitter much more than Facebook.
Yes.
And, it's...
There's not the drama. It's just, it's really different. It's really different.
No Facebook drama. As I've said before, Facebook is kind of like the Walmart of social media.
Yes.
Twitter's Target. Yeah. Maybe even Macy's. I may even go far as say is Twitter's the Macy's of social media. But there's trolls on Twitter too. But it just depends.
Yeah.
And of course, once again, you can find both Donna and I on the Night Thoughts Facebook page. Just search. You'll find us.
Yep.
All right. So we're off for probably a week or so. We're going to come back with part 2 for Cleveland Rocks. We thank you for listening. And Donna, you can send us out of here with that disclaimer.
Will do. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you soon.
Greetings, my podcast friends. It's your old pal Rico here. Why the fuck are you still listening? And while you're here, you might as well hear this disclaimer. Night Thoughts, the Cars podcast, is not directly affiliated with the Cars or Rhino Records. So we don't end up swimming with the fishes. Here's how the whole thing goes down. You know how fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might other infringe on others' fucking rights? Yeah, it's like that. In fact, we don't make no money. We record this podcast for personal use and teach you stuff so you're not a fucking moron. Tips the balance of our podcast shenanigans in favor of fair use. Now get the fuck out of here.